So welcome everybody to this is Security by a Live Innovator interview. I'm joined here by Mark Junge, the Chief Executive of Gallagher Security. In this session, I will be quizzing Mark on all things cloud technology, staff retention, and the future landscape of commercial security. So thank you so much for joining me, Mark. I really appreciate your time. Just to start, could you give us a little introduction into who you are and a little brief insight into Gallagher?
Thanks for having me, Rebecca. It was a real pleasure. Mark, I've been with Gallagher for 18 years in the security division primarily, and a bit of time early on in procurement and supply chain. Prior to that, I came out of the IT industry. Gallagher's an 86-year-old company, the innovators of the electric fence globally. And in about 1985, the security business was born and was amalgamated with Gallagher in 1999. And then we've got this great posture of having common technologies with our other division, which is animal management, electric fencing, RFID and weighing, which is coming together with these amazing software overlays that are really giving our customers the fantastic value from our whole solution.
So a nice rich history then, and a lot of different areas as well to cover. And just
Absolutely.
to set the scene in terms of obviously this interview, I'd like to first establish the kind of trends and challenges that are currently facing the market and kind of how far we've come. So in your opinion, how has the security landscape kind of progressed over recent years?
I think it's progressed substantially. The whole shift from the dusty server that's in the back room as a bit of a grudge purchase to this really core IT system that's providing that certainty and safety for the businesses or agencies is just huge. It really has the posture now, or should have the posture in businesses of being in that top tier core IT system framework. And we'll talk, I'm sure, of a bit more of cloud, but as that becomes more prevalent, that's really going to raise the profile of the security solutions as well.
Definitely. And obviously, like you said, at the moment, the market is seeing this kind of huge surge in popularity and interest in cloud technology. And obviously, this is still a fairly new technology considered, but it was only seemed a few years ago when everyone was like, what is cloud? And now it's something that everybody's asking for in their solutions. So with this kind of fairly rapid shift, actually, as opposed to quite a gradual shift. Given your expertise, can you establish what the kind of main challenges are that businesses face when it comes to integrating these types of technologies into existing systems?
I think that working out the posture for each business of how much of their solution they're prepared to put in the hands of a third party off-prem and how much they want to have on-prem, and balancing their needs based on their own security posture and their IT requirement is a key thing that businesses have to get their minds around. And then as they bring together all of the different elements of their access control, video solution, whatever else it might be, that are those key platforms for their security outcomes that they're driving, those will really test the minds of some businesses. Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge, particularly in that high security environment where traditionally everything has been very, very tightly held. An added point of change in the industry too is the shifting relationship between the security manufacturer, the systems integrator, and the customer in terms of the responsibilities for the provisioning, right? And as things move to the cloud, that relationship is going to shift out of the customer's data center and to the channel potentially to the channel partner if they're the cloud provider, or to the manufacturer. And that has a whole lot of implications in terms of service and provision, and commercial implications in terms of the balance of value exchange in the industry as well. So that's something that the industry is currently navigating.
Yeah, definitely. And like you've just established, cloud technology has a whole multitude of positives, but also, and there are some negative. There's pros and cons, double-edged sword, just like any kind of new technology. So we're still kind of
Absolutely.
navigating between, like you said, on-prem, those kind of hybrid style solutions, on edge, and cloud technology. So obviously, if you have somebody who has perhaps a hybrid cloud solution in place already, how has that impacted the security industry's approach to protecting data and assets over the next few years?
So the challenge for the security industry is to provide those new services that will interact with those customers postures. And one of the reasons that the systems and solutions become that tier one is that protection of personal information specifically. And of course, there's all of the data sovereignty and personal information sovereignty compliances that manufacturers need to get their heads around and be able to provide solutions for, as well as maintaining that end-to-end control of the security solution. The best of breed solutions that are cleverly amalgamated to provide that outcome for the customer are going to be the ones at the end of the day that win the race, because doing a little bit of everything well is quite different from doing the thing that's in your lane very, very well and providing the customer that real certainty of outcome.
And just quickly, in your opinion, does cloud technology better enable or perhaps hinder kind of the scalability or the future proofing of a product or a solution?
I think the fundamental premise of the cloud technology of being naturally scalable and resilient, self-resilient, is the key platform, right? So I think it enhances it. It gives the customer and the industry more flexibility, while at the same time moving more things off-prem mean we have to be much, much better at that whole cybersecurity posture and taking care of those risks as well, and being very proactive about it. So that value exchange, where a lot of that was done on the customer's premises, shifting back to the manufacturer or the cloud provider's responsibilities. So that change of mindset and change of diligence around those things is going to be really important to the industry.
Definitely. And I think where we previously had kind of physical security and cybersecurity very much two separate entities, they're now converged, as one. And as we kind of integrate more technologies like cloud technology or AI, we need to be more mindful about how we innovate within certain guardrails to ensure that we are protecting our physical solutions from cyber as well. So that's a great point you just raised there. To move on to another big trend in the industry, recruitment and upskilling of staff. In what ways can upskilling existing staff contribute to addressing kind of these evolving security needs that we've been talking about?
Well, Gallagher's always had the posture, and we encourage this in the industry, of great outcomes through having certified training and well qualified team members in the system integrator and even in the customer's premise. And I think that's the key. That as for the customer and for the channel partner, a big part of the investment in security is making sure that team are well enabled, and that path to proficiency is as short as possible. So innovative training solutions which can get people from zero, if they're just entering the industry, to that proficiency, or maintain the proficiency along the way with those regular updates, are key. We've done a number of things within Gallagher. Obviously went online just before the pandemic, which was fantastic to be able to get people take the opportunity during downtime to get new information into our channel and to our customers' hands. Since then, we've gone with train the trainer, and also virtual training, where we have someone who is remote and the participants have the equipment there in their own home or their own business, and they're all participating concurrently with that trainer. And we're looking at how we can take advantage of that new technologies that are coming to the market too, in terms of virtual reality, as some of the more physical things involved in the training as well.
Definitely. And to kind of merge those couple trends that we've just spoken about, obviously when you have all of this changing of technology, like you've just stated, whether it's cloud, whether it's AI, whether it's all these kind of different things coming into play, that knowledge on not just kind of your staff in general for the business, for your sales, but also your installers and your partners, that knowledge is key. So to hear that you're providing that training to the staff is absolutely fantastic. That's what we want to be. We want to give that knowledge back to the installers so that they can be as knowledgeable about the changing demands in market as possible. And then when it comes
Absolutely.
to Yeah. And then when it comes to obviously the convergence that we just spoke about as well, that's another area where obviously where these are so increasingly interconnected, we need to provide that knowledge to everyone knowing your technology as well. So all the installers, the integrators, etc. So in terms of like a holistic approach to security, what strategies should businesses kind of integrate into their business model?
Any good security system has layers, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's your physical security or your cyber security. That's the key, is what are the layers that give you the most certainty? How much of that end-to-end control, whether it's the physical hardware, the reader or the device that's out right on your gate as people are coming in, that can be potentially accessed through to your most important room, data center or records room within that keeps your best and most important IP. What are the layers all of the way through that for the cyber security and for the physical security? So I think that absolutely has to be top of mind for people. And it was interesting. I was watching a video this morning of all of the things that are up at ISC West and people putting things in. And there was actually a video where someone jumped over an electric fence. And I'm like, well, hey, that's the first layer. That was the fail. And have we got a solution for you? But anyway, it just really brought back to me that whole layering perspective. And then I think as businesses think through, they need to think through how are they going to provide those solutions, and as I said earlier, what's important to have absolute hands-on control of, and what's important to make sure that you have in the hands of the experts who can make sure that solution carries on and is secure, is resilient, and scales as it needs to be. And maybe that's not best done by the customer, and that's best done back further in the supply chain by the experts. So everyone will have to make their own choices about that.
Definitely. And on the topic of kind of layers and providing new technologies to combat different solutions and different issues and challenges facing businesses, looking ahead, what do you believe will be kind of some of the most significant emerging technologies that we're seeing today, and how you think they'll surge ahead in the trends in the future? How will this reshape the industry?
The technologies and AI and all of this rich data that we've always had in the security system, how that's brought out and used for the prevention of incidents, the recognition of incidents as they occur, the recognition, whether that's things going on in your business and active events on the edge for cybersecurity, and being able to prevent those and detect them very early and close any gaps that might be emerging. Proactive maintenance, making systems integrators able to be at the customer's premise in advance of something failing rather than after it's failing, and that whole ecosystem experience that we have got most of the data for, pulling all of that together and really providing those insights is where we're going to provide the biggest leap in value for the customer, in my view. It's an exciting time through the next few years as the industry really truly harnesses these things. There's lots of things going on in video analytics, and pulling that together with all of the other information that's around into access control and the other areas, and getting that single pane of glass for the customer so that they can have the green lights, amber lights, and red lights, and know exactly where their attention needs to be in the moment very, very clearly, is going to be key.
Definitely. And so obviously we've just established the kind of the biggest challenges as well as some of the exciting times ahead. When it comes to kind of some of the other biggest trends in the industry at the moment, obviously the user experience, mobile credentials, all of that side of access control, how do you see that in changing up the landscape?
Well, I think that, as people embrace the various wallets that are out there, and we might forget our keys, we might forget our badge, but we never forget our watch or our phone. And the experience that'll provide with the likes of Apple Wallet coming to market more and more, and Google Wallet and others like that, that makes it so much easier and frictionless for people to transact through their campuses and through their businesses and have what they need at whether it's a roadside cabinet that they're interacting with, and it can be provisioned in a heartbeat as well. Lots and lots of different technologies coming together, and the people that can bring those technologies and those best of breed solutions together to really hit the nail on the head for the customer with whatever their key needs are the ones that are going to do well, as well as the ones who can really excite those young people into the industry. And that was a point that didn't touch on earlier, was with that evolution of technology, the security industry is no longer about just drawing wires and fixing a reader and doing some basic configuration in a solution. You are at the forefront of IT networking. You're at the forefront of AI, of RFID technologies, tracking people and assets, and at the end of the day, what do we want from all of this? We want everyone home safe and sound at night, and we want to make sure that those assets are protected and those economies are protected. And as the world moves on, all of the things that we rely on from day to day, from the water out of the tap to the electricity out of to the plug to our food supply chains, they can all be attacked in much more sophisticated ways electronically. That we'd never had to worry about that 15, 20 years ago. That's just going to become more and more the case. So how do we make sure that we stay ahead of the game, bring everything together and provide the very, very best outcomes for us, our customers, and really for society?
Definitely. And I think actually you're right. We didn't actually end up talking about this, but we're still facing a bit of a skill shortage. We're still facing a recruitment shortage. But it's something that you mentioned before we kind of hopped on this interview, was that security is no longer just a security industry. It is, in fact, a technology industry. And the digital world that we live in, technology is appealing to people with transferable skills. The younger generations today are growing up with this type of technology, inundated around their homes, smart techs, fridges, all these kind of things. So they're a lot more knowledgeable than perhaps either of us were when growing up. So so we should be attracting those young people to the industry. For businesses looking to kind of bring on young people, is there any kind of words of advice or anything you would say about attracting new staff members to their business?
Yeah, I think you've got to appeal to not only the here and now of the technological excitement, but say, well, where could you be? And if you'd asked me even 10 years ago if I would have ever found myself in the seat of chief executive for security for Gallagher, I would have probably laughed and said, well, I've not really set up for leading a sales organisation. But showing those points of evolution and how it can be done, finding the reference points that will excite them. And if I look around our own business and think about the backgrounds that people have got that enable them to be great software developers or great salespeople or great in the field technical account managers, they are so varied. It's quite amazing, the whole amalgamation background of skills that we've got. People from such diverse backgrounds can come in and have quite diverse careers within the security industry. It is a really neat place to be. Like I said before, you've got from IT networking through to being right out in the field and advising customers on specifics and some heavy engineering to detailed electronics to software to configuration to commercial. It's very, very diverse industry.
Definitely. And having a diverse workforce as well as a diverse industry, you're going to be a more successful business at the end of the day. So that's a fantastic place to end on. And just before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to kind of mention before we close?
I've talked about it a couple of times. It's having just one flavour out of the box isn't the way that the world is anymore. It's having that range of options for the customer, being able to react to the customer's needs and work with them to actually drill down to what are those basic facts of the outcomes that they're looking for. The organisations and the people that can do that are the ones that are going to lead our industry forward, and having the agility to change, making sure that as an industry we invest in R&D heavily. Gallagher has a strong heritage of investing a lot in R&D, and it would be great to see wider industry doing the same universally. It's such an important thing overall for our modern society to keep things safe, secure, and protected, that we owe it to ourselves to be investing for the future, for the people that are in the industry, and to provide the excitement to bring people into the industry to make sure that we have that continuity. Doesn't matter where you look, as you said, the labour shortage is real, and making sure that we have that runway for the future in all aspects is super important, and that's going to require investment right across the industry. So I'll put the challenge out to everybody there.
Well, very, very wise words to end on. And yeah, and like you said, R&D, innovation, we have all these technologies, we need to be investing in them, we need to be working on how to design and invest responsibly, how to innovate responsibly. Bad actors are out there doing exactly the same thing without limitations. So we need to make sure that we can hit the ball running, and so to speak, and get there first. So thank you, Mark. I really appreciate your time. If there's anybody has any further questions, obviously you can reach out to Gallagher directly, or you can connect with Mark on the platform as well. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Appreciate it too.